Darren Aronofsky's 2006 film The Fountain is a profound cinematic exploration. It delves into the timeless human quest for meaning. The film interweaves three distinct yet interconnected narratives. These narratives span centuries, from 16th century Spain to a distant, nebulous future. At its core, grapples with themes of love, mortality, and transcendence. It presents a visually stunning and emotionally resonant journey. This journey challenges viewers to contemplate the very nature of existence itself. The film's complex structure and symbolic imagery invite deep interpretation. It is more than a simple story, it is a meditation. The film's philosophical underpinnings find a remarkable parallel in the tenets of the manifesto of the cosmic hierarchy. This manifesto, a guide to understanding the universe's spiritual architecture, posits a layered reality. It speaks of a journey from a singular source towards ultimate reunification. Its principles of source, logos, and spirit provide a framework. This framework helps to decode the intricate layers of Aronofsky's narrative, can be seen as an artistic representation of these cosmic ideas. It visualizes the soul's arduous path through suffering towards enlightenment. The manifesto itself details this very journey. This document will explore the film The Fountain through the lens of the manifesto of the cosmic hierarchy. We will examine how the film's central motifs align with the manifesto's core teachings. These include the concepts of death not as an end, but as a transformation. Rebirth is presented as an integral part of the cosmic cycle. Transcendence is shown as the ultimate goal of conscious evolution. We will dissect the film's rich symbolism, particularly the Tree of Life. This symbol is central to understanding the characters' motivations and their spiritual odysseys within the film's grand design. The characters, especially the central figures of Tom, Tomas, Tommy, and Izzi, will be analyzed. Their journeys embody the manifesto's ideas concerning divine order and the painful yet necessary process of spiritual awakening. The tension between human will, often driven by fear and desire, and the wisdom of surrender to a greater cosmic flow is a critical theme. This theme resonates deeply with the manifesto's teachings on aligning with the Logos. Ultimately, we will consider how the film's cyclical narrative and its breathtaking climax mirror the manifesto's vision. This vision is one of cosmic cycles, human evolution, and the eventual return to unity. The manifesto of the cosmic hierarchy begins with the concept of the source. This is described as the unmanifest origin of all existence. It is pure potentiality, the womb from which all realities emerge. The source is timeless, boundless, and ultimately unknowable through conventional means. It represents the ultimate unity that underlies the apparent diversity of the cosmos. In the film, the Tree of Life serves as a potent symbol for this primordial source. It is depicted as a mystical, life-sustaining entity. Its sap is believed to grant eternal life, a direct connection to the wellspring of being. This makes it the object of intense desire and desperate quests. The Tree of Life in the film is not merely a biological specimen, it is a cosmic axis, a point of intersection between different realms of existence. Its location within the Xibalba Nebula, the Mayan underworld, further enhances its mythical status. Xibalba itself is often translated as a place of fear, but it is also a place of transformation and rebirth. The manifesto speaks of the source as being veiled, accessible only through profound inner transformation. The tree, hidden deep within a sacred temple or residing in a distant star, reflects this veiled nature. It is sought by those who yearn to overcome the limitations of mortal existence. Tommy Creo's desperate search for a cure for Izzi's illness is, on one level, a scientific endeavor. However, on a deeper symbolic level, his research into the properties of a unique tree mirrors the ancient quest for the Tree of Life. He seeks to conquer death, to reclaim what has been lost. This quest, as interpreted through the manifesto, is a yearning to reconnect with the source. It is an attempt to draw directly from the fount of eternal vitality. The manifesto suggests that all life inherently seeks to return to this source, whether consciously or unconsciously. Tommy's scientific pursuit is a modern iteration of this ancient spiritual longing. The visual representation of the Tree of Life, particularly in the futuristic timeline, is ethereal and luminous. It exists within a transparent sphere, journeying through space towards the golden nebula of Xibalba. This imagery powerfully conveys its connection to something beyond the mundane. It is both a physical entity and a spiritual beacon. The manifesto describes the source not as a distant, abstract concept, but as a living presence. This presence subtly influences all creation. The tree in the film The Fountain embodies this idea. It is a tangible link to the sustaining power of the cosmos, a direct manifestation of the source's life-giving essence. The second fundamental principle in the manifesto of the cosmic hierarchy is the Logos. The Logos represents divine reason, cosmic law, and the inherent order that structures the universe. It is the blueprint through which the source manifests into diverse forms and intricate patterns. The Logos is not a rigid, static set of rules. Instead, it is a dynamic, intelligent force that guides the evolution of consciousness and matter. In the film, Tommy Creo's character, particularly in his modern incarnation as a research scientist, embodies the struggle to comprehend and manipulate this underlying order. His scientific pursuits are an attempt to grasp the Logos through intellect and empirical methods. Dr. Tom Creo is driven by a desperate need to find a cure for his dying wife, Izzi. His research focuses on a rare Guatemalan tree believed to hold the key to reversing cellular decay. This quest is a modern manifestation of the search for the elixir of life. From the perspective of the manifesto, Tommy's initial approach reflects a limited understanding of the Logos. He seeks to impose his will upon nature, to bend its laws to serve his personal desires, however noble. The manifesto teaches that true understanding of the Logos comes not from forceful control, but from aligning one's will with the cosmic flow. This is a lesson Tommy learns through immense suffering. The manifesto elaborates that the Logos operates through cycles of creation, preservation, and dissolution. These cycles are evident in the natural world and in the human experience of life and death. Tommy's initial resistance to Izzi's impending death is a resistance to this fundamental aspect of the Logos. He views death as a failure, an enemy to be conquered. His laboratory, filled with complex equipment and frantic experiments, symbolizes humanity's attempt to master the forces of nature. Yet, the true essence of the Logos, as the manifesto suggests, often lies beyond the grasp of purely materialistic science. It requires a shift in perspective, an opening to deeper truths. As Tommy's journey unfolds across the film's timelines, his understanding of order begins to transform. The rigid clinical approach of the scientist starts to give way to a more holistic perception. This is particularly evident in the futuristic timeline, where Tom the astronaut travels with the Tree of Life. He is no longer just an observer or manipulator of natural laws. He becomes a caretaker, a participant in a cosmic ritual. This evolution reflects a gradual alignment with the Logos. It is a movement from seeking control to embracing interconnectedness and the inherent wisdom of the universe's grand design, as outlined in the manifesto. The third pillar of the manifesto of the cosmic hierarchy is the spirit. The spirit is described as the animating force of the universe, the breath of life that imbues all creation with consciousness and purpose. It is the active aspect of the source, working through the Logos to guide evolution and awaken beings to their divine nature. The spirit is often experienced as intuition, love, and the yearning for connection. In the film The Fountain, the character of Izzi Creo magnificently embodies this principle of the spirit. She is not just Tommy's dying wife, she is his spiritual guide, his beacon towards a deeper understanding of life and death. Izzi's acceptance of her mortality stands in stark contrast to Tommy's desperate struggle. She embraces death as part of a natural process, a transformation rather than an annihilation. Her book, The Fountain, which she writes for Tommy, becomes a crucial tool for his eventual awakening. The story within her book of Queen Isabella and Tomas the Conquistador mirrors their own struggles, but offers a path towards resolution. Izzi, like the spirit described in the manifesto, gently attempts to lead Tommy away from his fear-driven actions. She encourages him to find peace and acceptance, to see the beauty in the cycle of existence. The manifesto teaches that the spirit communicates through subtlety, through moments of insight and profound emotional connection. Izzi's presence, even as her physical body weakens, is a constant reminder to Tommy of a reality beyond his scientific paradigms. Her request for him to finish it, her book, is a call to complete his own spiritual journey. It is an invitation to understand the story's deeper meaning, which is about letting go and finding eternity, not in physical longevity, but in love and acceptance. Her influence persists even after her physical death, guiding Tommy through his grief and towards his ultimate realization in the Xibalba Nebula. Izzi's connection to the Tree of Life is also significant. In Tomas the Conquistador's storyline, she is Queen Isabella, who tasks him with finding the tree. In the modern story, she finds solace in stories of creation and renewal. In the future, she appears as an ethereal vision, intrinsically linked to the tree that Tommy protects. This multifaceted connection highlights her role as an emissary of the spirit. She bridges the gap between the material world and the spiritual realm. The manifesto stresses that the spirit works to heal separation, and Izzi's enduring love is the force that ultimately helps Tommy transcend his fixation on loss and fear. The shadow of separation. Tomas and the echoes of the fall. The manifesto of the cosmic hierarchy addresses the concept of the fall. This is not a singular event, but a state of consciousness. It is characterized by separation from the source, a forgetting of one's divine nature, and an entanglement in the illusions of the ego. The fall is often driven by misapplied will, fear, and the desire for power or control over the natural order. In the storyline of Tomas Verde, the 16th century conquistador, vividly illustrates this principle. His relentless pursuit of the Tree of Life, commissioned by Queen Isabella of Spain, is initially framed as a noble quest for his queen and country. However, Tomas's journey into the Mayan jungles becomes increasingly consumed by personal ambition and a desperate fear of mortality. He seeks the tree not just for his queen, but for the promise of eternal life for himself. This mirrors the manifesto's description of how the ego can corrupt even seemingly noble intentions. The Grand Inquisitor, Silecio, who represents religious dogma and the suppression of true spiritual seeking, further fuels Tomas's desperation. The Inquisitor's threats and his own ambitions drive Tomas to acts of violence and ruthless determination. He becomes a figure alienated from the natural world he invades and from the spiritual harmony he ostensibly seeks. The manifesto explains that the fall leads to suffering, as the individual becomes trapped in a cycle of desire and aversion, cut off from the sustaining grace of the source. Tomas's eventual encounter with the Tree of Life is tragic. Believing its sap will grant him immortality, he consumes it greedily. Instead of eternal life, he experiences a horrifying transformation. He sprouts flowers and vegetation, effectively being consumed by the very life force he sought to control. This powerful imagery symbolizes the consequences of approaching the sacred with an impure heart, with an ego untempered by wisdom and surrender. It is a stark warning against spiritual materialism. Tomas's fate serves as a cautionary tale within the film's triptych structure. It represents the path of unbridled will, leading not to transcendence but to a form of dissolution born of misunderstanding. The manifesto would interpret this as a necessary, albeit painful, lesson in the soul's journey. The experience of profound separation and its consequences can paradoxically become a catalyst for future awakening. Tomas's story underscores the manifesto's teaching that true union with the source cannot be achieved through force or selfish desire. It requires humility, purification of intent, and an understanding of one's place within the divine order of the Logos. The Soul's Odyssey. Reincarnation and the struggle for awakening. The manifesto of the cosmic hierarchy posits that the soul's journey is an epic odyssey. It unfolds across multiple lifetimes through various experiences, all designed to facilitate its gradual awakening to its inherent divinity. This concept of reincarnation, or the transmigration of the soul, is central to understanding the interconnected narratives of the film. The film presents three distinct incarnations of the male protagonist: Tomas the Conquistador, Tom Creo the modern scientist, and Tom the futuristic astronaut. Each of these figures grapples with the same core themes of love, loss, and the fear of death, albeit in different historical and existential contexts. Tomas the Conquistador represents a soul driven by ambition and a primal fear of oblivion. His quest for the Tree of Life is marked by violence and a desire to conquer nature. His failure is a lesson in the futility of seeking immortality through external means, through forceful acquisition. According to the manifesto, such experiences, though painful, imprint crucial lessons upon the soul. They highlight the limitations of the ego-driven path. The suffering endured by Tomas is not merely punishment, but a catalyst for future growth, a karmic imprint that will influence subsequent incarnations and their choices. In the modern era, Dr. Tom Creo embodies a more internalized struggle. His battle is not against Mayan warriors, but against the disease ravaging his wife, Izzi. His scientific intellect is his weapon. Yet his emotional landscape is still dominated by fear and an inability to accept the natural cycle of life and death. He is, in many ways, still Tomas, albeit in a different guise. The manifesto would suggest that the soul carries unresolved issues and patterns from one life to the next. Tommy's desperation to save Izzi echoes Tomas's desperate yearning for the tree. It is the same core fear manifesting in a new form, requiring a new approach to resolve. The futuristic astronaut, also named Tom, represents a later stage in this soul's evolution. He travels through space with the dying tree of life, a companion in a solitary cosmic pilgrimage. This Tom is more contemplative, more attuned to the spiritual dimensions of his existence. He has seemingly learned from the mistakes of his past lives. His journey towards the Xibalba Nebula is not one of conquest, but of acceptance and ultimate surrender. The manifesto describes this progression as the soul gradually purifying its intentions. It moves from egoic striving towards a harmonious alignment with the source, logos, and spirit, seeking not to control life but to understand its sacred mysteries. Will versus surrender. The central dichotomy in the cosmic dance. A central tension explored in, and a key theme within the manifesto of the cosmic hierarchy, is the dichotomy between will and surrender. Human will, in this context, often refers to the ego's desire to control, to dominate circumstances, and to impose its agenda upon the flow of life. Surrender, conversely, is not about passive resignation. It is about aligning one's personal will with the greater cosmic will, the divine order of the Logos. It involves trust, acceptance, and a profound understanding that there are forces and wisdom beyond the individual's limited perception. This dynamic is at the heart of Tommy Creo's journey. In his initial incarnations, particularly as Tomas the Conquistador and the modern-day scientist, Tommy's actions are predominantly driven by a powerful, often desperate will. Tomas wills himself to find the Tree of Life, to conquer the Mayans, and to achieve immortality for his queen and himself. Dr. Tom Creo wills himself to find a cure for Izzi, pushing against the boundaries of medical science and his own physical and emotional limits. The manifesto describes this exertion of egoic will as a common stage in the soul's development. It is born from the illusion of separation and the fear of impermanence, leading to struggle and often suffering. Izzi, as the embodiment of spirit, consistently nudges Tommy towards surrender. Her calm acceptance of her own death, her focus on the beauty of the present moment, and her legacy in the form of the book, The Fountain, all serve as lessons in letting go. She understands, perhaps intuitively, what the manifesto articulates, that true peace and transcendence are found not in resisting the currents of life, but in flowing with them. Her story of the Mayan guide who willingly sacrifices himself to give life back to the tree is a potent allegory for this principle. It demonstrates that death can be a creative act, a return to the source, not merely an ending. The climax of the film, particularly for Tom the astronaut, represents the culmination of this struggle and the ultimate triumph of surrender. As he approaches the Xibalba Nebula, he finally understands the meaning of Izzi's story. He realizes that life and death are part of an eternal cycle. His acceptance of his own mortality and his merging with the tree and the nebula is an act of profound surrender. It is not a defeat but a liberation. The manifesto teaches that such surrender leads to unity with the source. It is the moment the individual will harmonizes with the cosmic will, resulting in enlightenment and the transcendence of the ego's limitations. Harmonic convergence. The climax and the great return. The climax of the film The Fountain is a breathtaking visual and thematic convergence. Tom, the astronaut, finally reaches the Xibalba Nebula with the dying Tree of Life. Here he achieves a profound realization, inspired by Izzi's completed story. He understands that death is not an end but a transformation, a necessary part of the cosmic cycle. This mirrors the manifesto of the cosmic hierarchy's concept of the Great Return or harmonic remembrance. This is the ultimate destiny of the soul, to return to a state of conscious union with the Source, having integrated all the lessons of its long journey through manifested existence. The manifesto describes harmonic remembrance as a state where the soul recalls its true, divine nature and its interconnectedness with all that is. It is an awakening from the dream of separation. Tom's experience in the nebula is precisely this. He smears the sap of the tree on his body, not in a desperate bid for physical immortality as Tomas did, but as a ritual act of acceptance and union. He sees visions of Izzi, understanding her message of eternal love and the cyclical nature of life. The sprouting of the flower from his chest, mirroring the fate of Tomas, but in a context of enlightenment rather than horror, signifies rebirth and integration. The explosion of the star, Xibalba, and Tom's apparent dissolution into it alongside the tree is not an annihilation. It is a transcendent merging. The manifesto speaks of this ultimate stage not as a loss of individuality, but as an expansion of consciousness to encompass the all. The tree bursts into vibrant life, signifying renewal. This powerful imagery suggests that through the surrender of the individual ego, a greater life force is unleashed. The cycle of death and rebirth is affirmed, but on a cosmic scale. Tom's journey, spanning centuries and lifetimes, culminates in this act of becoming one with the universe. This ending powerfully reflects the manifesto's vision of cosmic cycles and human evolution. The soul, represented by Tom in his various forms, evolves through stages of ignorance, struggle, and gradual awakening. The Great Return is not a regression to an unconscious state, but an elevation to a higher octave of being. It is a conscious participation in the divine dance of creation and dissolution. Film's ending offers a hopeful, albeit mystical, perspective on mortality. It suggests that the human quest for meaning finds its ultimate answer in the loving embrace of the cosmos itself, a core tenet of the manifesto of the cosmic hierarchy. Conclusion. The Fountain as a mirror to cosmic truths. Darren Aronofsky's film The Fountain is far more than a mere cinematic narrative. It is a deeply philosophical and spiritual meditation on the fundamental questions of human existence. When viewed through the prism of the manifesto of the cosmic hierarchy, the film reveals itself as a powerful allegory for the soul's journey. It charts a course from separation and fear towards unity and transcendence. The film's intricate structure, its recurring motifs, and the profound transformations of its characters all resonate with the core principles outlined in this spiritual text: Source, Logos, and Spirit. The Tree of Life, a central symbol in the film, perfectly embodies the manifesto's concept of the Source. It is the wellspring of life, the object of quests, and the ultimate point of return. Tommy's multifaceted journey across three timelines reflects the soul's engagement with the Logos, the divine order. His initial attempts to conquer and control give way to an eventual understanding and alignment with cosmic law. Izzi, in her grace and wisdom, serves as the embodiment of the spirit. She guides Tommy, and by extension the viewer, towards acceptance, surrender, and the recognition of love as an eternal connecting force. The film does not shy away from depicting the struggles inherent in this journey. The character of Tomas the Conquistador illustrates the manifesto's idea of the fall, the ego's misguided pursuit of power and immortality leading to suffering. Yet, even this suffering serves a purpose in the grand cosmic scheme, providing lessons for the soul's evolution. The tension between the will to control and the wisdom of surrender is played out repeatedly. It ultimately resolves in the futuristic, Tom's enlightened acceptance of death as a transformative process, a return to the source, which is a key aspect of the manifesto's teachings. Ultimately, The Fountain serves as a compelling artistic reflection of the cosmic principles that the manifesto of the cosmic hierarchy seeks to articulate. It portrays the cyclical nature of existence, the interconnectedness of all life, and the potential for human consciousness to evolve towards a state of harmonic remembrance and unity with the divine. The film's haunting beauty and profound emotional depth leave a lasting impression. It encourages contemplation on our own place within the vast, mysterious, and ultimately benevolent cosmic order, a universe governed by principles of love, wisdom, and eternal transformation.